Hello, Christian. How are you?
Hello, teacher. Fine. And you?
Very well, thank you. How's everything going?
It's good. And how about you?
It's okay. It's okay. So, too many things to do.
No, not too much.
Okay, okay, great. Well, Christian, so today we're going to focus our attention a little bit on listening. Okay, so why we need to focus our attention in listening? Because in this part, we need to understand like what is the main idea of an audio and what are the supporting details that we find in the audio. Okay,
Okay.
so in this part of the listening, so we're going to focus on the following questions. So for example, understanding the main idea of an audio, just like I was telling you before, and understanding the details. So these are two things which are necessary at the moment of listening any kind of audio. Nevertheless, I can give you some tips which are necessary for us that we might be able to take into account at the moment of listening. Also, if you desire, you can take some notes. Okay. So, for
Okay.
example, in this part of note taking, you can take into account, for example, keywords. So basically, the keywords that
Okay.
normally we use are nouns, adjectives, or verbs. But normally, I believe that there are some other things we need to take into account. For example, let's talk about locations, okay, where the conversation is taking place or where is the audio happening, for example. So maybe you can
Okay.
take that into account. Like, where are the speakers? Or where is the conversation taking place?
Taking place.
Okay, so maybe we can take that into account. Another thing which is important is perhaps,
Dates.
yes, exactly, dates. Perhaps the speakers are discussing dates, so we can take that into account as well. So when did the action take place? Or maybe we can say something like, why does the speaker why does the speaker mention 1999? So these kind of things we can take into account. Also, names. If we listen that the speakers are mentioning any name, so that means is important. So maybe we can take that into account at the moment of taking notes. So, for example, um, why does the speaker mention George Washington? Or if we notice like there is another name which is important, so we take that into account. Okay.
Okay.
And another thing which is important is quantities or numbers, because maybe the speakers will refer to any quantity or perhaps numbers in the conversation. Perhaps they ask you something like, how many species are there around the world? So all these type of notes we can take into account. So these things are important. And for example, when we're listening to an audio, maybe we can listen carefully and at the end try to find out what is going on in that conversation or talk. Okay.
Okay.
So do you have any question about this, Christian?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, Christian. So now we're going to listen to part of a lecture given by a professor. And so the first
Okay.
thing I want you to do is, of course, we're going to listen carefully. And at the end of the audio, we're going to analyze what is going on in the audio. Okay. And then we're going
Okay.
to answer the questions regarding to that audio. Is that okay with you?
Okay.
Okay. So let's take a look here.
To change the volume, click on the volume icon at the top of the screen. The volume control. Listen to the lecture and answer the questions.
Can you listen there?
Yes.
You may
Okay.
Yes.
take notes while you listen.
Okay, perfect.
You may use your notes to answer the questions. Click on Continue to begin. Listen to a lecture in a botany class.
Today we're going to be talking about insectivorous plants. As you know, we have a field trip tomorrow. We'll be going to the botanical gardens, and we're going to be seeing some insectivorous plants there. Do you understand what insectivorous plants are? Insectivorous plants are plants that trap and assimilate insects in order to sustain life. You may understand the meaning of insectivore from related words such as carnivore or herbivore. A carnivore eats meat, and an herbivore eats plants, while an insectivore devours insects. But unlike carnivores and herbivores, which are animals, the insectivores that we're going to discuss today are plants. All insectivorous plants contain chlorophyll and have roots, so they don't get all of their nutrients from the insects they take in. Insectivorous plants tend to live in soil that lacks enough nitrogen for them to exist, so they consume their insect victims in order to get the nitrogen they need. There are many types of insectivorous plants in the world. There are perhaps 500 known species of insectivorous plants worldwide. Of these many types of insectivorous plants, we're going to look at one of the better-known ones in depth. The insectivorous plant that we're going to discuss in detail is the Venus flytrap, which is native to North America. Now, look at the drawing of the Venus flytrap on the screen. The Venus flytrap catches insects by suddenly snapping the ends of one of its trap leaves around an insect. You can see in the diagram that a Venus flytrap has a number of trap leaves and that each trap leaf is divided into two parts. Inside the two parts of the trap leaf are three sensory bristles which resemble tiny hairs. When an insect touches the bristles inside a trap leaf, the two surfaces of the leaf shut instantaneously and the insect's trapped inside the parts of the leaf. The Venus flytrap then discharges a digestive liquid into the leaf in order to assimilate the insect and obtain the nitrogen the plant needs in order to survive. That's all for today on the Venus flytrap. I hope that from our discussion of the Venus flytrap, you've developed a clearer understanding of how this and other insectivorous plants function. You'll need it for the trip tomorrow.
What is the professor mainly discussing?
Okay, so Christian, what can you tell me from that?
Okay. From the question or the audio in general?
The audio in general.
Okay, so they are talking about the insectivore plants. And the professor talk about a trip that they are going to have tomorrow, I think. Yes. Um, he said that there are 500 known species of that type of plants, and the main energy source of this type of plant were the insects, and they catch the insects through trap leaves, and that's it, I think. And the insectivore plants I also have a chlorophyll and roots. Um, that's it, I think.
Okay, thank you, Christian. Yes, just like you said, yeah, the professor was discussing about these insectivorous plants, just like you were saying. And well, basically, these plants, like the professor was saying, they eat insects in order to survive because the soil where they live lack of nitrogen. So that's why they take these insects in order to get
Okay.
that nitrogen that they lack. So yes, basically what you said is true. Okay, so in this occasion, well, we can talk about the questions we have here. For example, what is the professor mainly discussing? This is a question for a general topic. So, what do you think is the answer for this question?
The third one, plants
Plants to
use that
use.
use insects to survive.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes, that is correct.
Why is the professor discussing this topic?
This question is also related to the previous one about the general idea.
Just, the first one, I think.
He is lecturing about something that the students will see the next day. Okay. Yes, that is correct.
What does an insectivorous plant get from an insect?
Okay, so now this type of question is related to the details.
What does the first one?
Well, if you
I
remember,
don't know.
if you remember, the professor said that the insects don't get all the nutrients
Um,
from the insects they
Yes,
take in.
mm, from okay, because they it have chlorophyll. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think the last one. I or no, I don't know. I don't
Well,
remember.
actually, it is
Nitrogen.
C because if you
Okay.
remember, the professor was saying that the plants live in soil which lack of nitrogen. So they take the insects inside and they get the nitrogen they lack.
Okay.
Okay, so that one has to be C.
According to the lecturer, how widespread are insectivorous plants?
Okay, so this other question is also related to the details.
Um, it's, I don't know. There are hundreds of writing words. I don't know. I'm between the first one And the third one, I think that is the first. But
Okay, let's
I'm not
see.
sure.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Actually, you said that earlier because you said that the professor said there were hundreds of them around the world. Okay. So,
Okay.
if you remember, the professor
I,
said there are 500 species, but here
okay.
the answer is hundreds of them.
100. Okay.
What is stated in the lecture about the Venus flytrap?
So, this is also another detail given by the professor about this specific plant.
Yes. I think that is the first. Is the large. Um, I don't know.
Okay.
Mm, or smaller vehicle plant parts. One drop leaf.
So, we have
Mm, the
C.
last one, I'm see.
Yes, because if you remember, the professor was mentioning about the trap leaves. Okay, it has different trap
Yes.
leaves that catches the insect. Okay,
Yes.
so it has to be this one because it has movable parts. Well, because he was explaining like the leaves move instantaneously to catch the insect.
Okay.
Okay.
What is stated in the lecture about the sensory bristles?
I think that the last one.
Yes, they cause
And
the trap leaf to close.
they are and the I don't know. And the third one. No. No. Wait.
Okay,
Mm,
well, remember that the professor said they were inside of the leaf. So when the
yes.
insect passes by one of these bristles, that's what
Like
cause.
mm,
Yes,
the I don't know. The
it is this one.
okay.
Okay, because the professor was saying like there were three of them in each leaf. So that's what the causes the leaf to close instantaneously.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, do you so Christian, what do you think about this exercise?
It was good. I think that it was a little bit difficult to me, this part of the exam. I think that I have some difficulties, but it was good, I think.
Okay. Yes, some point is difficult, but if you notice, actually you got many of the details and what the general idea was in this part. Okay, so I believe that if we continue practicing more, you're gonna be capable of achieving this easily.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Christian, so that will be all for today. So thank you very much, and we'll meet back again tomorrow.
Okay, teacher.